A queen, so powerful, she made the mightiest men in the world kneel before her. A woman, so beautiful, that empires crumbled at her feet. But this is not just a story of love. This is a story of power, betrayal, and obsession. Welcome to the legendary tale of Cleopatra.
The year is 48 BC. The Roman Empire is at war with itself. Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in Rome, has just defeated his rival, Pompey, at the Battle of Pharsalus. Caesar wins, but Pompey escapes. He flees by ship all the way to Egypt, hoping that the young pharaoh, Ptolemy XIII, will give him shelter. But Ptolemy's advisors make a shocking decision. They have Pompey killed and present his severed head to Caesar as a so-called gift of goodwill. Caesar is disgusted.
A Roman general should never be treated this way, especially by a conquered nation. Caesar arrives in Alexandria. He enters the royal palace and meets the young boy pharaoh, Ptolemy XIII, who is being controlled entirely by his scheming advisors, Pothinus and Achilles. Meanwhile, Egypt is in chaos. Ptolemy and his older sister, Cleopatra VII, are engaged in a bitter civil war against each other. This conflict is threatening Egypt's grain supply to Rome, and Caesar cannot allow that.
And then Cleopatra makes her move. Cleopatra cannot enter Alexandria openly because Ptolemy's soldiers would capture her. So she comes up with a brilliant plan. Her loyal servant, Apollodorus, disguises himself as a rug merchant and presents a gift rug to Caesar. Caesar dismisses his officers. He unrolls the rug and outrolls Cleopatra herself. Their meeting is electric. Caesar is immediately captivated by her beauty, her intelligence, and her sharp mind. Caesar banishes Ptolemy and declares Cleopatra the sole ruler of Egypt. He becomes her protector and soon her lover. Together they sail down the Nile, and Cleopatra shows Caesar the magnificence of her kingdom. Their relationship deepens, and Cleopatra gives birth to a son named Caesarion. A child she believes is Caesar's son and the future heir to both Rome and Egypt. But Caesar must return to Rome. He is a conqueror, a leader, and Rome needs him. Cleopatra travels to Rome. Caesar has risen to extraordinary power in Rome. He is declared dictator perpetuo, dictator for life. Cleopatra arrives in Rome in a breathtaking procession, a grand spectacle that stuns the entire city. She brings her young son, Caesarion, hoping Caesar will publicly acknowledge him as his heir. But not everyone is happy. Rome's senators fear that Caesar is becoming a king, a title Romans despise. Men like Cassius and Brutus begin plotting against him. Caesar's protege, Mark Antony, senses the danger, but cannot stop what is coming. Then the Ides of March arrive. Julius Caesar is assassinated, stabbed 23 times in the Senate, by Brutus, Cassius, and their conspirators. Cleopatra is devastated. She flees Rome with her son and returns to Egypt. Her dream of a united Roman-Egyptian empire dies with Caesar. Years pass. Rome is now divided. Power in Rome is split between three men: Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, Lepidus, and Mark Antony, who controls the eastern territories. Antony needs Egypt's wealth and resources for his military campaigns, so he summons Cleopatra to meet him at Tarsus. Cleopatra does not come like a servant. She arrives on a magnificent golden barge, dressed as the goddess Aphrodite, with perfumed sails and servants fanning her. The entire city of Tarsus empties to watch her arrival. Mark Antony is completely overwhelmed and falls deeply in love with her. Antony becomes Cleopatra's lover and her military ally. But his political situation in Rome forces him to make a difficult decision. To strengthen his position, he agrees to marry Octavia, the sister of his rival, Octavian. Cleopatra is furious and heartbroken.
But Antony cannot stay away. He eventually abandons Octavia and returns to Egypt. There, in a bold and public ceremony, he marries Cleopatra, even though he is still technically married to Octavia. He declares Cleopatra and her children rulers of Rome's eastern territories. This is a massive political scandal in Rome. Octavian uses this moment perfectly. He turns the Roman Senate and the people against Antony, painting him as a man enslaved by a foreign queen. Then he declares war, not on Antony, but on Cleopatra.
The Battle of Actium. Everything falls apart. Antony and Cleopatra combine their forces to fight Octavian in the famous Battle of Actium at sea. But the battle goes terribly wrong. Cleopatra, fearing defeat, withdraws her fleet and retreats to Egypt. Antony, seeing her ships leave, abandons his own forces and follows her. His army collapses without leadership. Octavian wins completely. Octavian advances on Egypt. Antony's remaining forces begin surrendering or switching sides. Everything is falling apart.
The tragic ending. Antony receives a false report that Cleopatra is dead. Shattered and defeated, he stabs himself in the stomach. But he does not die immediately. He is carried to Cleopatra's tomb, where she is hiding. There, in her arms, the great Mark Antony dies. Octavian captures Cleopatra. He plans to take her to Rome as a trophy, to parade her in chains through the streets, as proof of his conquest. For Cleopatra, this is the ultimate humiliation. She refuses to be displayed like a prize. She chooses death over dishonor. Cleopatra dresses herself in her royal robes, lies down, and allows a venomous asp to bite her. The last queen of Egypt, the most powerful woman in the ancient world, dies on her own terms. Octavian enters and finds her dead. He goes on to become Augustus Caesar, the first emperor of Rome. And Cleopatra, she becomes immortal.
Cleopatra didn't lose. She simply refused to be owned. A queen who moved empires, broke hearts, and chose death over defeat. If this story blew your mind, smash that like button, subscribe for more epic stories, and comment below, Team Caesar or Team Antony.